gorgeous. And that is just perfect for me. Hello my lovelies, and welcome to another Opal Bakes The Bakes tutorial. And today we are making everyone's favorite donut, the Krispy Kreme. And I think I have found the recipe. Well, close enough anyway. And it's very simple to do. Well, it is if you have a little bit of time on your hands. I will give you a few handy tips during this video in case you're a bit time short and you just want those fresh donuts in the morning and you don't want to be taking all day making them. So keep watching so you'll find out those little tips so you can just wake up, literally take your pre-made donuts and whack them in the fryer and they're ready for breakfast. In this video you will also be learning some molding techniques, so how to get those perfect round balls to make those perfectly shaped donuts. Also be taking you through Krispy Kreme's killer signature glaze. I hope it's quite similar. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit better. And we might have a few little hands helping us with the donut making along the way. This is a very fun process, so do feel free to involve your children or anyone who wants to get their hands into the feel of that dough. I was a professionally trained baker. Bread was my #1 passion, and I'm so happy to be getting my hands back in the dough today.
You will need 375 grams of plain flour, 7 grams or 1 packet of dried yeast, 30 grams of caster sugar, 8 grams of salt, 190 ml of milk at room temperature, 40 grams of vegetable shortening or kofa, and 1 egg at room temp. Add your dried yeast to 30 ml of lukewarm water. Give it a quick stir with a fork and then leave to activate.
I just thought I'd show you here, and yes, I have donned an apron and a bit of jewellery just to glamorize the video a little bit more. This is the yeast activated, so it should be nice and frothy and ready to go into our flour. So let's get started.
Begin by adding your water and yeast mixture, your egg, the caster sugar, and the room temperature milk. Then get your dough hook and combine on low speed until it comes together. When your mixture has been roughly formed, stop mixing and then add your 8 grams of salt. Adding the salt at this stage ensures that it doesn't interfere in the yeast activating within the dough. When the dough has been roughly formed, you can stop the mixture again, as from this point on we can commence our hand kneading. So you can leave your stand mixer to the side, as we will be using this again, and tip your dough onto the bench. Avoid adding flour to your bench top, as this will dry out the dough and add unnecessary flour. And you want to be stretching and folding in a clockwise direction and slapping the dough ball in between your stretch and folds. This process may take between 6 to 10 minutes.
So you fold it over. That's right. Okay, then you flip. See, to get the top part. Fold it over. Good. And see, then you flip it. So you turn and you fold. That's right. Turn and fold. Okay, with my now lovely and sticky fingers, I'm going to grab a little piece of dough. You should be using an oiled hand for this, so I'm going to grab a little bit of my kofa and just oil the palm of my hand. I'm going to grab a little piece of dough, and what we're doing here is we're rolling it into a ball and then we're stretching it out to see if there's any gluten development from all the kneading we've been doing. And gluten is basically the stringy proteins starting to form together and make a nice little, what they call a window or a film. And that has made a fantastic window right there. And there's still a little bit of holes popping through, and that's completely fine because we want to take our kneading to about 80%, and then from there we want to add our fat. Mix that through with the mixer, and then we want to continue kneading to 100% when the dough is nice and stretchy and there's no breaking in the gluten proteins that we have formed. So let's get to it. Handy tip as well, make sure that your kofar or vegetable shortening has been left overnight to soften, so you don't want it fresh from the fridge. Handy little tip there.
Once hand kneading is finished, we want to be reattaching our bowl to the stand mixer and then adding in our fat, or in this case, vegetable shortening, and start combining on medium speed. If you find that your fat is not breaking up, give it a bit of a squeeze with your hands to distribute amongst the dough, and then continue mixing until it is all smooth and elastic. And then your dough should end up looking a lot like this, so a very smooth and stretchy consistency and very pliable. Now a plastic or a rubber hand scraper will be handy here to remove your dough from the bowl. And we're going to finish it off by just doing 1 to 2 minutes of hand kneading until it forms a nice smooth consistency. And also making sure you get rid of any stray bits of fat that may have been stuck inside the dough itself.
Now for anyone who wants to know, we are adding our fat now into the recipe, not at the beginning, because a lot of recipes will just throw in all the ingredients at the beginning, but that is not the way, as the fat actually interferes with the gluten strands from forming and those connections and stringy bits from forming, which is the essence of a dough. So that's why you always want to add it towards the end of your mixing, just so it doesn't interfere in that process and you don't end up over mixing your dough. Alright, so when your dough is looking nice and smooth, this is a really good indicator that it could be ready. So again, take a greased palm with a bit of oil or a bit of fat that you have close by. Grab a little dough ball, roll it between your palms, and then give your dough a little stretch. And what we are looking for here is that nice window. There are a few little holes, so I might just need it a little bit further, but that is quite a nice flimsy stretchy window, so it's pretty good. I might just need it for another minute and it should be ready to go into an oiled bowl and then put to rest.
Line your bowl, I use a ceramic bowl here, with a little bit of oil, not too much, just to ensure when we pop our dough in that it doesn't stick to the sides. Pop on a bit of cling film and leave aside to rise double in size.
Check our dough, and let's have a look. It's probably been about a good hour and a half. And when I leave my finger after I poke it, it leaves a nice imprint. So we know now it's nice and well risen and doubled in size.
Now lightly flour your bench top and gently remove your dough and lay it on your work surface. We're going to use a rolling pin and roll it out to about 2 centimeters in thickness. And then using 2 round cutters, we are going to make round donuts with the hole in the middle. So take the large one, dip it in a bit of flour so it doesn't stick to the dough and you can remove it easily. And cut your large round, giving it a twist, followed by your small round. I didn't have a perfect round circle here, so I just used a pedal cutter for the time being. And there you have your perfect little round donut shape, which you can pop on some baking paper aside while you do the rest.
What we need for this next part is a kitchen scraper / cutter to cut your dough, and a set of kitchen scales to weigh out 50-gram pieces.
Now with slightly greased hands, take one of your 50-gram pieces and just begin rolling it gently along your bench top in a circular motion between your hands. until the dough forms a ball. Turn your dough over and just check that it's well sealed on the bottom. If it isn't, give it a quick roll along your bench top, and to help it along you can even pinch the ends together to make sure it's fully sealed. Another handy tip, before you start shaping, you can give your dough a bit of a tap on the bench top, and this will remove any air bubbles that are hiding inside the dough. And you can keep tapping it as you are rolling it between your hands, just to ensure there aren't any escapees. And now you can cover with cling film and leave your dough balls to rise. While your dough balls are rising, time to make our vanilla glaze. You'll need 1 cup of icing sugar, 30 grams of salted butter. I've used salted particularly to offset the sweetness, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 1 tablespoon of hot water. Begin by adding your melted butter to your icing sugar, then your teaspoon of vanilla and tablespoon of hot water. Then whisk until smooth and glossy. To prepare your frying oil, mix about 1 ratio of vegetable lard with 4 parts of vegetable-based oil. You will also be needing a thermometer of sorts to keep an eye on the temperature, which will be at 175 degrees for frying. Check your dough by giving it a bit of a press with your finger, and if it slowly comes back, you know that they are ready for frying. You can now begin adding your donuts to the oil when it has reached the temperature of 175 degrees Celsius. And flip halfway through the cooking process when they're nice and brown on the bottom. Mine were a little bit overdone here, I got distracted, but when they're slightly less brown than that, you may flip them over. It's about 2 minutes on each side. Whilst the donuts are still piping hot from the fryer, take them out and then begin flipping them in the glaze with a skewer. Remove the excess by gently wiping against the sides of your bowl, and then place on a wire rack for the excess icing to drip down. Place your dough balls in next by putting the smoothest surface down first, and then flipping them over to the sealed side. When your donuts are cool, you can prepare your fillings. I have one here with jam and with a homemade custard. This is a donut nozzle which is used to inject the filling into the donut. I forgot to put mine in the piping bag here, so I've just made a nice hole down through the middle, and then simply pipe your filling until your donut feels nice and full. Try not to overfill here. For the unglazed donuts, I have simply scattered some icing sugar over the top. Now you can place your lovely finished donuts into a box and give them away as a lovely gift or to enjoy at home. And if you have a Krispy Kreme box on hand, you can fool everyone into thinking they're the real thing.
And that concludes our Krispy Kreme donut tutorial. They came out a little extra brown, guys, because my oil did overheat a little bit, so just ignore that. Obviously when you do it, you'll get your oil at the perfect temperature, I am sure. And yes, a lovely little gift that you can pass on to family and friends in a cheat box. This is one that we had left over from when we actually had some Krispy Kremes, but don't they look absolutely gorgeous? And how yummy is that? And yes, I have overfilled mine with custard because I just love custard. And that glaze tastes like the absolute real thing. Now, this is a sugar-free custard that I have made. I will do another tutorial on that, but let's give these a try. As usual, at the end of my videos, I always have to sample. And that is just perfect for me. Just the right amount of filling. If you can see, lovely, spongy, soft texture. And just the right amount of salt as well. I'm going to continue to enjoy these with a cup of coffee. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Any equipment I will leave. Okay, I'm going to stop chewing. Hold on. I will leave any equipment that I have used in the description box. Do try these for yourself, and if you have, please do let me know in the comments box. Little handy tips throughout. Again, make sure you add your fat at the end of your mixing. Get that dough to 80% before you add in your fat, as it interferes with the gluten development. Also, adding that cover with the oil, I really feel has made that really Krispy Kreme exterior texture. And something that I would do next time, instead of these donut balls, like the really ball-like shape, I would actually probably just cut rounds and then fill them to make a bit of a flatter donut. So that's a tip for next time, or if you're making them yourself, perhaps just cut rounds and it will result in a more flat donut rather than a puffy one. But it depends on your preference. Okay, as always, take care, my lovelies. I will see you in my next vlog or my next baking tutorial or beauty tutorial or fashion hack. I will see you next time. Thanks for stopping by. Take care.